We have a quorum. We're ready to go ahead and get started. All right, I will call the July meeting of the Information Technology Advisory Commission to order. We have a quorum. Do we have, well, before we do that, Jackie, could you tell us where you're participating from?
I'm participating from my home in Arlington.
And
despite the picture.
You have requested and received approval of the chair for a medical virtual attendance tonight for medical reasons?
Correct.
Thank you. I sent your response in writing. Mr. Edelstein, can you come on camera and let us know where you're attending from?
Yeah, I'm here in Arlington. Actually, I read online it was virtual. This one, am I wrong about that? This is not virtual?
It is not, but you can utilize one of your personal reasons for virtual attendance. I don't believe you used any yet so far this year, or certainly not three.
It would be a misunderstanding. It said virtual somewhere in the list. I don't make, and then it said
virtual and virtual. It's hybrid.
Oh, well, I misunderstood. Sorry about that. Anyway, I'm down the street, but it's okay because I had a meeting anyhow, business meeting in out west. It just ended. So
all right. Well, you are approved for virtual attendance by the chair for personal reasons.
Thank you, boss.
Fantastic. All right. Do we have any public comment? Nope. Okay. Tracy sent around the minutes. Do we have any edits or comments on the minutes before I entertain a motion for adoption? Didn't see any via email.
Good to me. I move that we adopt. Can we go month by month, or can we do a joint?
I think we can do a joint.
Okay, I move that we adopt the May and June minutes.
We have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Jack, can you come on camera to vote for us? And off mute, on camera and off mute.
Aye.
All right, it's unanimous. The minutes are adopted. Thank you very much, Tracy. Chair's update. As you may have noticed in the agenda, we have selected our book for book club. Our Meet the Author event in collaboration with Arlington County Libraries is going to be with John Binks, who is the author of several books on artificial intelligence, most recently Bots and Brilliance, 101 Things You Should Know About Artificial Intelligence. This is a general audience book, not a technologist-focused book, which I think is useful given the amount of conversation that's going on. Shall we say, lightly informed conversation that's going on. I think it will be good to continue informing the public conversation in Arlington County about what artificial intelligence is, what it isn't, but in a way that's maybe more accessible to a general audience. So we have that queued up. So that will be at Central Library in September. That's the 24th. It will be at 6:30 instead of 7:30 because the library closes at 8 p.m. So we can't do our normal time. So that is a time adjustment. And we will also be recessed for our summer break in August. So that will be our next meeting at Central Library on September 24th at 6:30 p.m. The other chair update is I sent around the legislative priorities. I did not receive any responses. The county board has moved up the timeline. We were planning on discussing that in the fall, further on in the fall, but the county board has moved up their timeline for input and submission. So I converted our recommendations from last year into the new format. I made a slight update to the recommendation around the adoption of cloud services, mostly to account for the evolution of the Commonwealth's kind of cloud adoption program, the Virginia Agency for Information Virginia Information Technology Agency, VITA, has a kind of cloud adoption program called COV or COV ramp. So I kind of made some slight adjustments to the background for that, but that's about it. Everything else is as we previously recommended. So unless there are any edits, I would suggest that we adopt. Okay, Mike.
I have a question about one word.
Yeah.
It is in the recommendation 3 narrative.
Okay.
And the second word is public support. But I was under the impression that this was an appeal for Commonwealth support. Is that incorrect? In other words, in the recommendation, in the main text, it says continued support for advanced information technology, et cetera. And I just assumed that since this is going to Richmond, that you meant you were referring to support for Richmond.
Correct. The use of the word public is synonymous often with public funds from governmental organizations. That's the intended usage there.
Okay, I didn't get that, but I would have, to me, the public is the general public. It's my science background speaking.
Would you like to change that?
I would just like to strike the word public and leave it at ongoing support.
Any objections?
None.
All right, adopted as recommended. See that you did the reading. Nice to see that you did the reading. Good stuff. Anything else? Any objections to sending as is as our 25 legislative recommendations?
No objection.
All right, then.
Go ahead, sorry.
You go ahead. Go ahead.
I move that we adopt them.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
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 John, you got to come on screen to vote.
There we go. Aye.
Right.
All right, miscellaneous items.
Any opposed? All right, so adopted as amended. Mr. Smith, welcome. Can you tell us where you're attending from? Place with bad Wi-Fi.
Clearly not around.
Jim requested and received approval from the chair for participation for personal reasons. Would you let us know where you're attending from? We didn't hear it. You blinked out on us.
Belgrade Lakes, Maine.
Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Smith.
Thank you.
You're not doing anything to dissuade us from the idea that you are in fact in the witness protection program.
I left my regular glasses on a dinner table, so I'm limited to the dark shades.
It looks good. It looks good. All right. All right. That is it for the chair's update. On to our agenda item for this evening. Adam Theo, creator of the Arlington Blue Sky community, is here. He's an early adopter of Blue Sky, which is a new decentralized social media platform that aims to solve many of the problems with our current social media. He has created the Arlington, Virginia community on Blue Sky to improve civic engagement and foster healthier discussions among neighbors. Theo will demonstrate the Blue Sky platform for us tonight and cover the underlying technology that makes it unique among social media apps and introduce the Arlington, Virginia community, which has been growing there. And I'll say on a personal note, I'm not a fan of social media because of all of the harms that it creates. I think it's worth it. But I think the decentralized nature of the underlying technology could be very disruptive in a positive way. So that is why we're talking about it here tonight, mostly. So Theo, take it away.
Hello, everyone. I am Adam Theo, although I'll probably wait until the end to really introduce myself since that's the least interesting part to all of this. as the presentation loads, which it is slowly doing so, there we go. Just wanted to say, yes, I'm going to talk about Blue Sky, which is a new social media app and platform, really only kicked off in the past year or so. And what makes it special and unique, particularly its decentralized open nature, which has the potential to really revolutionize social media over the next few years. I'll talk about Blue Sky itself, what makes it special, the custom algorithms, the starter packs, and the powerful moderation tools. And the Arlington community that's been growing on it. Then what really excites me is the underlying technology about Blue Sky, the protocol. Blue Sky just really an implementation of this wider ecosystem. And then the future of the local community on Blue Sky, and then finally about me. Blue Sky is at its heart a microblogging platform, very much like Twitter. In fact, if you're familiar with Twitter, whether you've used it or you've seen it in action, the user interface and how Blue Sky operates will be very familiar to you just right off the bat. And that's by design. They didn't want to do, the developers behind it didn't want to do anything totally revolutionary to start off with. Keep it simple, keep it with what people already know and use. It's 300 characters per post, small little post with images and short video clips. And what makes it unique is the decentralized open nature of the underlying technology, the ability to create custom feeds in your own algorithms, so you're not limited to what the company puts out for you. And its powerful moderation tools, which I think have the opportunity to really catch on elsewhere in other social media platforms and give users more power over how they operate social media. Right now, I'll just mention two other little features that I find really interesting about Blue Sky, but I don't want to go into greater depth later on. The domain handles. So your username in Blue Sky is a domain name. And if you own your own website or you're a business or official that has a government domain website, you use that as your username, as your handle. So for example, I have my own little personal website, which sometimes I don't, in fact, most of the time I don't really pay attention to and it goes offline, but I have the domain name. So on Blue Sky, my username is @adamtheo.com. And that same thing happens with like sub domains and any other kind of domain that you want to use or have access to, which I think is a really interesting point in Blue Sky's favor. One of the things that really stood out for me. And starter packs. Starter packs are this really cool feature where us users can bundle other users together into a little starter pack, and we can promote that starter pack and say, hey, sign up to Blue Sky using the starter pack. When you do, you're automatically following all the people in the starter pack, and you can start off with some default feeds and other things. It's a great way to sort of bootstrap a new user and bring people into communities on Blue Sky. I have an Arlington, Virginia starter pack, which I'll talk about later. What Blue Sky doesn't have yet is post editing. It is on the roadmap. And private accounts, that's going to take a lot of technology reworking. I can talk about that in Q&A if you want. And advertising. It's there's no and never will be any advertising from the company, from Blue Sky itself, baked into the platform. Instead, you can use, people who run custom feeds, such as myself, can opt to do their own advertising if they want to bring in some money. But advertising is, from the very beginning, from the very get-go, not something that the platform itself has baked in and will, incorporate for every user. So far, Blue Sky started off as just a project within Twitter years ago. And Jack Dorsey, who was then in charge of Twitter, gave Blue Sky the go-ahead and some seed funding, but that's it. He doesn't run Blue Sky, never has. And in fact, he got kind of run off the Blue Sky platform because he was being a bit of a jerk and saying that Blue Sky shouldn't do moderation, which it very much is. So Jack Dorsey doesn't like moderation, so he bounced. It is now its own standalone public benefit LLC, a PB LLC, which I don't understand the legal aspects, but it's something that's unique to some states where they allow for corporations to have more of a social benefit purpose rather than serving just investors or stakeholders. It's now over 37 million registered users and has monthly active users of about 5.9 million and daily active users of about 1.5 million. Each of those are significantly higher than your social media average. So that's a good note on Blue Sky. It's small, but the people who are on it are largely using it to higher levels than other social media platforms. Blue Sky has sort of been described as a liberal Twitter or a leftist Twitter. That's not a fair comparison, but it's not an unfair comparison either. Really, it's just that Blue Sky got started and its first sort of communities that joined were artists and sort of counterculture types. And that sort of just caught on as it continued to grow. In fact, Blue Sky does have plenty of conservatives and center-right people. Adam Kinzinger, who is in Congress and one of the few Republicans that are pushing back against Trump. He's very active on Blue Sky. I think, and a lot of the Bulwark folks. Bulwark is like a center-right publication and blog and video kind of website, and a lot of them are active on Blue Sky. What it doesn't have is a lot of the MAGA types. So that's, I guess, where its liberal kind of reputation comes from. And honestly, I'm fine with that. You'll see also with the graphic on the right, these are just the top 15 or so users on accounts on Blue Sky. So you got a lot of some politicians, a lot of news and media personalities, and celebrities. The really defining, I guess, feature for Blue Sky, what really sets it apart from other platforms right now, are custom feeds. You know, when you go onto Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever, you have your 1 or 2 standard feeds, and that's it. It's usually just this constant scroll of an algorithm, of whatever an algorithm that's designed by the company puts out for you. Blue Sky does have a default algorithm, a default discover feed. But the real power here is it, from the very beginning, in fact, even before it had a default discover feed, it has tools to allow users to create their own feeds and to share those feeds. There is a sort of marketplace for user-created feeds, and that's probably how 95% of people browse and use Blue Sky is through custom feeds. The Arlington feed that I've created, which I'll get into, is one of those. But you have a bunch of others. I mean, some of my favorites are a feed called Quiet Posters, which specifically that algorithm goes out and finds accounts that I follow that don't post very often and make sure that those are in the feed. So it really helps me to see, people who maybe only post once a week, a couple of times a month, and I get to make sure that I'm checking up on them and seeing what they're doing. I'm really big into urbanism and housing advocacy, so there's a lot of great urbanism and housing feeds, and Jazz Sky, really into jazz, and there are feeds specifically for music. And a really cool one is the gift links, gift articles feed. You know how Wall Street Journal, New York Times, all that, they'll be behind a paywall, and you have to sort of hope that you can get access to a gift link, and so you can see the article that you're not necessarily paying for, but you want to see it off social media. That is a feed that someone created that specifically just gathers all the links that are posted on Blue Sky, all the posts to these various free links and gift links. So if there's something that's happening in the news right now and you want to see what the Wall Street Journal article is about or the New York Times, chances are it's in that feed and you can easily view it for free. A bunch of others. I'll talk a little bit about Black Sky. Black Sky is a feed in a growing community created by a guy named Rudy. He's somewhere else, I don't know where. Lost connection, but coming back up. But Rudy is African-American, he's Black, and he made it his mission to develop a community with its own feed, its own moderation services, and its own code for African Americans on, or Black people on Blue Sky that are able to use it for whatever purposes they want without fear of backlash from tech bros or governments or anything else. So it is a, did I lose the those slides? Okay, give me a sec. I'll try this again.
Turn down the meeting there.
Okay. Well, while that's going, I'll say there are also custom feeds for moss. You know, someone's actually created a custom feed that just gathers pictures of people who have posted and talking about moss and fungus, mushrooms, nature, birds, everything else. And still no connection. Well, I'll wing it until it comes back on. So another great feature of Blue Sky is the moderation services. And this is really what makes it powerful. You know, with Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, you have your moderation service that is from the company. With Blue Sky, sort of breaks that out and allows anybody to run their own moderation services. That can be everything from like a list of bad actors, of users who are behaving poorly, and you can subscribe to those lists. And whenever those members are added to that list, you're automatically blocking them or muting them. That's also in labeling services. So users can create their own labeling service to go around and tag users or content for certain criteria. It can be bad. It can also be good. In fact, there's a labeler that I subscribe to that tags people as fantasy RPG classes. So warrior, magician, cleric, that sort of thing. And you can run little games using that. And considering I do not seem to have connection at all anymore to run that, I will just have to continue to wing it. I'm sorry, folks, for these slides not displaying, but if it comes back on, I will. Yep, okay. So with Blue Sky, there's it sort of takes that very modular approach where there's a bunch of things that users can create, and you can sort of hot swap and create your own experience on Blue Sky. Now on to why I'm really here, the Arlington community. I've been an early adopter of Blue Sky, going back 3 years now, I think at this point, 2 or 3 years. And I had the opportunity to create a lot of these tools as they were coming online, becoming available. One of the things I did early on was I really missed the local community from Twitter and from Facebook, which I was trying to get off of. And so I decided to create it myself. And I've created an Arlington, Virginia feed in Blue Sky. And what that is you can subscribe to it, and it's a little tab, and you can click on it and use just an algorithm that is then showing you all the posts from local county offices, local news like Arlington Now, they're on it. Arlington Department of Environmental Services, the school board, and a lot of the school principals are now on Blue Sky as well, and local discussions as well. So just regular neighbors who are talking about things going on in Clarendon or Roslyn or down on the Pike. Those will be picked up through keywords and shown through this feed. So it's a really neat way to have sort of a very custom Blue Sky experiences. The thing that is like Twitter or Facebook that is picking up people that you didn't know about. You're not necessarily friends with them. You didn't join any kind of club or community necessarily that they are also a part of. It's just naturally surfacing and grabbing based on the keywords, the topics they're talking about. And so it provides this really nice opportunity to have discussions with neighbors, get alerts of what's going on. One of the popular accounts is the Metro Bus alerts. So you can see when Metro buses are breaking down in Roslyn or down on the Pike or something like that in pretty much real time. And another thing, I was talking about the starter packs. I've created a starter pack as well. And that has, I think, about 100 or so people of active users that are on Blue Sky, of neighbors, local civic organizations, such as SUSMO, Sustainable Mobility for Arlington County, which some people may be familiar with, and local elected officials as well. For example, I think Maureen Coffey and Susan Cunningham are active users on it, and JD Spain, Takis also have accounts and they pop in once in a while. We also have a couple of school board members and Don Beyer as well, for example. In fact, going back to the how on Blue Sky your username is a domain name, since every member of the U.S. House of Representatives have a little domain name to use for their website, Beyer on Blue Sky is at beyer.house.gov. And so that is a really neat way to sort of look at that account when it pops up and says, okay, that is authentic. That's a verified account. I can be sure that is actually Don Beyer and not someone who has created an account, slapped his profile picture on there as pretending to be him. With the Arlington feed, it is currently at about 50 unique users per day. So 50 unique people checking it out, scrolling through, liking stuff, using stuff through the feed. And there are, I think, about 80 posts that are created through the feed or surfaced through the feed. So it has just enough to make it interesting now at this point. My challenge is to double, triple that over the next few months or a year to make it a really great place for people to come and use for local civic engagement and for local information. Now, if there are any questions about that, happy to take questions. Otherwise, I will nerd out on the really interesting technology behind Blue Sky. Blue Sky is not really just intended to be its own standalone thing. The real power behind it, the real purpose behind Blue Sky is actually the technology called AT protocol, Authenticated Transfer Protocol. That's really what the developers are working on through all of this. And Blue Sky just so happens to be the successful proof of concept that is starting to make some money for them. With that AT protocol, the idea is to take social media, as you know it, whether it be Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, whatever, take that and break it up into all of its little components. You have, for example, your followers list, you know, the people that are following you. You have the people that you're following. You have the people that you don't like and you've blocked them. You have your identity, your username, how you log into the system. You have your profile picture and your bio. You have all the posts that you've posted up to social media, whether they be little short form micro blogging things like Twitter or longer form things like blog, like an actual blog, like Substack, for example. You have your pictures, you have your video clips, you have everything else that you put up on the social media. Take all of that, break it out into its own little modules. The idea with AT protocol is that Blue Sky or any other app developer can come along and reassemble those pieces in their own way, creating their own platforms from scratch, but using pieces that are already there from individual users, from other developers. Blue Sky, for example, if I wanted to create an Instagram alternative, I could then come in and say, you know what, all these pictures that users of Blue Sky have already uploaded, I can just reuse those for this platform, for this new Instagram platform. You don't have to if you're a user and you want to use this new Instagram type of thing, you don't have to re-upload your photos. They're already there in your Blue Sky account. So you can just plug and play, hot swap. It does this primarily and you have to sort of think about how you upload your data, your control over your own data a little bit differently. With traditional social media, you're using their app and you post, and your pictures, your video clips, your posts go to their servers, and they sit on their servers. And then from their servers, they're dished out to all the other users using that app. With Blue Sky, you're posting to your own server. It's called a PDS, Personal Data Server. It's basically your own little personal database. The beauty with Blue Sky is the vast majority of users don't know this. It's seamless. It's by default. They create an account, they log in, and it's just like Twitter or Facebook or anything else. They don't have to set up a server. That's done automatically. But if you are tech savvy and you really want to dig into it and you're developing an app, you can realize that everybody's data is on their own personal data service. So when I want to start using an Instagram-like app that's on this protocol, or a YouTube-like app, or I want to do some live streaming or anything else that's social media related, kind of like along those lines, and there's an app for it. I can just tell this new app, hey, come on over here, use the stuff that I've already posted. I'll give you permission to just take the photos that I've already done and do it for an Instagram app, do it for video, for like a YouTube sort of thing.
So that server, is that in the cloud or is that locally on your own hardware?
By default, if you just sign up for Blue Sky, it's in the cloud. It's run by Blue Sky by default. The idea is, though, that becomes a lot more decentralized. So you can, I mean, I could see a future in a few years where Google, Microsoft, or some other big tech players are running PDSs for their users. So I have a Google subscription. I could say, you know what, I want to use my Google account as my PDS account. So everything I do on social media just uploads to that Google account and then is pushed out to the other social media apps from there.
And that server, is that kind of firewall from all other users?
Yeah, it would be. Yeah. So it actually, I think how Blue Sky does it, especially with their own servers, it is literally its own standalone database that's running. It's not, what's that open source SQL version? Postgres. So it's not that, it's an enterprise version, but they do have software that is being used, which uses open source SQL databases, and you can run it on a home server. There are people doing that now. It is, it takes some technical requirements. I mean, I'm not that tech savvy, but the people who are comfortable running a home server and running their own SQL database can run their own Blue Sky PDS. A few tens of thousands of people doing that right now, I think, what I last saw.
And most importantly, that's still interoperable with all of the other services.
Correct. Yep.
So you don't take yourself off of the Blue Sky platform by running your.
Yep. Right. Yeah, it's designed from the beginning to be that very modular, decentralized kind of aspect where it doesn't matter where you have your data. It could be in the cloud with Blue Sky, in the cloud with Google or some other provider, in your home closet running off of a laptop.
So the privacy aspect,
Yeah.
so it is the standalone, it is the fact that it's got its own firewall, like doing your own thing. I'm not being able to look at what you got on your stuff.
So actually, at this point, very much no. What the developers of Blue Sky and the AT protocol start off with is they start off with what they're calling a locked open system. And that's simply because they figured that's what covers 80% of people, 80% of use cases. So literally everything you do on Blue Sky right now is technically open, public. There's no private accounts yet. There's no private data. There's no shared private where you're just sharing to a select group of people, of friends and other family. Right now, everything is public. Their idea is, since that covers 80% of use cases and 80% of people, that's what they're developing. And they do have some plans, and they're working out how it will be where you can have private accounts and you can do some shared groups that are otherwise private and stuff like that. That will take time. It's going to be a lot of programming and coding. One challenge with Blue Sky is they're creating all of this from scratch, and it's a team of 20 people with some community developers. So they're trying to do what other social media companies have had 20 years to be.
You talk about feeds and different tools.
Yeah.
Who owns them, or is there an ownership structure?
So the feeds are stored. So if you create a feed, it's stored on your PDS. So you own that algorithm as much as anyone can own an algorithm. And it can, depending upon what tool you use to create those feeds, it can be as simple as a drag and drop of where you're sort of doing this wireframe of where the information goes and how it's grabbed and how it's processed. If you know how to do stuff, you could probably really dive into, I'm not sure what programming languages it would be. Regex, I know, a large part of just the processing is regular expressions, but whether it's Python or TypeScript or whatever, yeah, it's probably up to you. What matters is it's understandable, it's sitting on your PDS and it's understandable to the rest of the world.
So I want to touch a little bit about, say, if I create a YouTube channel, YouTube-like thing.
Yep.
And I want to bring in the Blue Sky account.
Mm-hmm.
So say if John goes to my YouTube app,
Yep.
right, the new YouTube app, John will log in with his Blue Sky account.
Yep.
So my app, the new YouTube app, would just be authorized to access John's accounts on Blue Sky. So I'm not really bringing that information.
Correct.
I'm just using like an API.
You're using the information that's on his PDS.
Right, in Blue Sky.
In Blue Sky, yeah.
So,
Although, I mean, really, it's the PDS doesn't have to be necessarily Blue Sky. The PDSs are designed to be app agnostic, and it's just so happened that Blue Sky is, you know, the one that's creating it. So it's sort of termed a Blue Sky PDS, but really it's just PDS, and you can think of Blue Sky as just happens to be the first app that's making use of that.
okay.
There are some really big benefits to this, real quick. If you're an app developer, you don't have to be then putting in all of the resources for data storage, for processing. You can literally just create an app that uses the data and the content that's already out there, saving a lot of time and costs for startup purposes.
So say if John wants to move his PDS completely out of Blue Sky to my YouTube new app, is that possible?
You could, but that sort of defeats the purpose. Purpose of a PDS would be that it's app agnostic. Now, if he, for example, wants to move away from the Blue Sky owned servers where his PDS is currently hosted and he wants to host it at home or host it with Google or something, it's a seamless position to do that. But you should think of it as a Blue Sky PDS because the PDS is owned by the person, has all of their data, their social media data on it. And you, with the new YouTube-like service, you're just tapping into it and saying, hey, John, can I use your videos that you've already uploaded to your PDS for this new YouTube-like app? And that happens usually from his end. You know, he's like, oh, there's this new YouTube app. I'm going to go ahead and start using it instead of YouTube owned by Google. So I'll just give this YouTube-like app permissions. And there I go. All my videos that I've uploaded so far are now on this app as if I've always been a member, a user of this app. I mean, the date stamps going back to whenever. You don't have to re-upload stuff, and you can be operating in this YouTube app as if you've always been there, including carrying over your followers, people you follow. Your social graph is one of those little components that's it's turned modular and separated out from the rest of the pieces. So your account, you as a user, who you're following and who follows you goes with you wherever you go in the social media ecosystem. So when I start using your YouTube app, I don't have to go through and find all the people, all my friends all over again. I don't have to I don't have to develop a new user base of followers that are following my account. It's already there.
Right. So his PDS will always be stored on the first application that use PDS, say Blue Sky.
Could be.
So say if he goes to another application that uses PDS, so it will always be stored with the Blue Sky.
Yeah, one PDS.
So it wouldn't be like a duplicate PDS. So his PDS will be always with the first.
By default, I mean,
They're portable.
Yeah, they are.
There's not a need to move it, to engage with the other. So you could compete, like app developers could compete on PDS storage for whatever reason, and they can differentiate themselves if that comes up. But that's not kind of the portability is the foundational feature. The
and that is starting to happen. Black Sky, the community that I mentioned earlier, that is catering specifically to African Americans and other minority users around the world. Their goal is to set up their own servers, their own PDS servers, so that anybody that wants to can migrate away from the Blue Sky servers, their PDSs, and have their PDS hosted with Black Sky with their own terms of service and moderation services. Well, actually, not even that, because moderation and all that is modular. So you can be on, say, for example, here's an example. You could be hosting your PDS in a home server. It could be an old laptop stuck in your closet, and you're just running the software on it, and it's plugged into the internet. You have that technical know-how. You're comfortable with that. Great. Your moderation services, like what users that you want to identify as bad actors, and people who are trolling or spamming or scamming. Those services can be from Blue Sky. It can be from your friend down the street who runs a moderation service. It can be from Black Sky, and it can be all of these other sources. And it doesn't have to be one of them. You can hot swap them and join them and merge them, and subscribe to all of them if you wanted to. So that's the idea of like the sort of modular social media where you can hot swap and plug and play pieces however you want.
But that presumes, am I correct, that presumes that your YouTube app substitute has been designed with this AT protocol in mind.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, correct. I had a slide in the deck listing some of the apps that are in development by other companies or community members. I'll see if I can remember this off the top of my head. Of course, when there's like an explosion of app development and new developers, most of them are going to fail. So I don't expect most of those apps to be around another two years or so. But there's one called Flashes. It is not made by Blue Sky. It's some other developer. And they're trying to create I believe, an Instagram-like experience. Either Instagram or TikTok, one of those. And Flashes is its own thing, its own app, its own code base, but it will pull data from the PDSs that are on Blue Sky and in someone's closet or hosted elsewhere. And it can make use of the same moderation services, can make use of the same feeds as well. So if I'm designing a feed and I want it to be to also include images, then that Flashes app can say, hey, actually, I'll just make use of, or I'll allow users to make use of this custom feed and these algorithms as well. There's another app, I forget the name of it. It is a TikTok type of app if the other one was Instagram. I'd say those two are the most likely to succeed. They're the furthest along. They have some funding and some backing, and I think they'll do pretty well. But it doesn't have to be traditional social media. There's another app that's in development called Smoke Signal, and that is an Eventbrite type of thing where you are managing RSVPs. You're publishing events for other people to RSVP to, and they can track those. And it's good for a community service or any other things that Eventbrite or even Meetup would be used for. So basically you can think of anything that allows for a social component that would then be broken up into these little modular pieces and be reassembled in these different ways. And as I think the really powerful part of this is you have one PDS where all of your data is stored. Right now it is all open, all public, but as they develop those privacy features and encryption and making sure that only select people can see and use select data, I think it'll be a very powerful tool and help claim a lot of the power back for users of social media. After all, if you always have your posts, your videos, your pictures, and all these other apps are also using the same protocol, it's very easy to sort of switch from one to the other. So, for example, 2 years ago, I ditched Twitter. It was after I had made national news for something, and I was getting trolled and harassed relentlessly on Twitter. I was like, I'm done with this. And if Twitter at that time had been on the AT protocol using the same stuff as Blue Sky, then I could have easily just gone over to Blue Sky's like, all right, I'm going to log in now with my Twitter account, and automatically everything is now with Blue Sky. I don't do any manual transfers, no weird conversions. It's just plug and play, easily swappable or easily migratable over.
So which came first? Did the AT protocol come first, and then
they've been developing sort of stuff. It's the same team.
Okay.
It was out of a project from Twitter a few years ago. So Twitter had this, under Jack Dorsey, had this idea of, we want to do the next evolution of Twitter 2.0. So they put together this team, and they said, all right, go for it. These are our criteria. This is what we want. Start developing Twitter 2.0 off of this decentralized idea. And they started coming up with technologies, but pretty soon, shortly after that, Twitter started floundering. It was about to be sold to Elon Musk, and that's when it was spun off into its own thing. And now they've been developing the Blue Sky and AT protocol sort of simultaneously. So that's another challenge, is that's a team of 20 or so people developing two very big things. It's like the big protocol, the big ecosystem, but then also their sort of proof of concept, which is Blue Sky.
I just remember, this is I was checking on my phone, but this is the platform with JD Vance got.
Probably, yeah. So here's a funny thing. So when JD Vance joined, by default, to make it easy for users, they don't have you like choose a server or create your own PDS or anything like that. It's all automatic to start off with. You're with the Blue Sky PDSs, Blue Sky servers. JD Vance, when he joined, his account was created, his PDS was created with Blue Sky. If he was technically savvy enough, he's not. But if he had been technically savvy enough, he could have taken his PDS and self-hosted, and then Blue Sky, the company, would not have been able to block him or ban him quite as easily. Now, he would still be caught up in all the other moderation services run by other members. I've looked into starting up my own moderation service as well for the Arlington community. There isn't much need to it, but I could if I wanted to. But JD Vance still would have been cut. So even if the company itself wasn't able to ban JD Vance because he was self-hosting his PDS, all the other moderation services out there would still be able to ban him and cut him off from people who joined or were members of those subscription services. I had a slide here about those moderation subscription services to give you some examples of the kinds of things that people create moderation services for. There's one for engagement hackers, the people who will join a service and they'll just go around following everybody, like hundreds of thousands of accounts. They're just following accounts in the hopes that some people will follow them back. And then they go through and delete their followers so that they can look like they have this natural organic follower list. There are tools out there, algorithms, which will be scanning the network and seeing when people do that. And then when they see they're doing it, add them to this engagement hackers moderation service. I subscribe to it. It's free. These services are all free right now. But I subscribe to that. So it automatically filters out people and accounts that will try those types of, tricks. Moderation services for bad behavior, your standard kind of stuff. Moderation services for not safe for work content. So if you want to make absolutely sure, or the best to your ability, best to anybody's ability anyway, that nothing not safe for work is going to pop up in your feed, you can subscribe to those services. Click a little button and that'll filter out 80, 90% of the stuff.
I think the point is not that any one person gets banned.
Right.
It's that every user gets to pick who they want doing their moderation, right? Because everybody's got a different idea. That's the problem with these moderation conversations with big social media platforms. Everybody's got their own idea about what should be moderated and what constitutes free speech that should be protected, right? And so you get to pick your own. And then if you don't like it, there's somebody else out there who's trying to win your business, right? So, sorry, we're done.
It's fine. So I assume the idea behind the AT protocol is, well, let me take a step back. I feel like one of the challenges with starting new social media platforms is getting people to join. What benefit is if you join and nobody else is on?
Yep.
I'm guessing the AT protocol is the idea to kind of help alleviate that, I'm guessing?
Yep, exactly. Because so when you have an account and you've been using it for a while, you'll naturally start following people and you have a following list and you'll have people that are following you, your followers. And that list, that little component, goes with you and stays with you no matter what app or service you're using. It just so happens that Blue Sky is the first one, and that's what people think of as their Blue Sky account. But if you start using the YouTube-like app or Smoke Signals, which is the Eventbrite type of thing, that automatically comes with you. You can't even say it's copied over because it doesn't copy over to their servers. It stays on your PDS, and they're making use of your PDS. So when that YouTube-like app, for example, you say, yeah, I want to check this out. I want to give this a try. And you give them permission to come use your stuff. That automatically has your followers and your following, all the people you've blocked, and moderation services you're using to filter out other accounts. And you can join YouTube as if you've already done the work of hunting down who your friends are and following them on this YouTube app, and having this list of followers who are following you that will see your stuff when you publish it. So big aspect of AT protocol is that it tries to eliminate a lot of the thresholds or that friction for creating a new app or joining a new app.
So let's say John and I are friends on Blue Sky, and then I join the app. It recognizes the YouTube app, and it recognizes my friends list.
Yep.
Then John joins this YouTube app.
Yeah.
It will recognize that we had a relationship in the other social media platform and automatically connect us to be reading that. And vice versa, if I'm on John's blocked list, then the moment he joins that app, it will put me on his blocked list
Because the block list and the friends list is in my PDS, not the app.
and any app that's designed on that protocol can read.
Yep.
Can you send money through this?
Not yet. I'm sure there are people working on sending money through it. But I think a big problem with that particular service is, since everything is public, it'd be like old school Venmo, where you have that feed in Venmo showing what your friends and everyone else has been like sending money to. And that got really problematic really quick. So until that is changed in AT protocol, where everything is public, until that changes, we probably won't see like financial transfers taking hold. But it'll come. I'm sure it'll come.
When you say everything is public, then does that mean like when they have a conversation, I can see their conversation?
Right now, yeah. Of course, it works like Twitter. So on Twitter, you're posting to the world on Twitter. And like similarly on like mainstream Facebook or your main Facebook, you're posting to the world on Facebook.
There's no private conversations on
Not yet. Yeah. Now there are DMs in Blue Sky. That's sort of like a hack add-on right now. And they just did that because everybody was clamoring for private DMs. So it's very basic. It doesn't even follow like AT protocol. It's its own little thing that is just cobbled together. We'll get a little bit technical because this is an interesting point. There is a protocol that's being worked on by some big international internet governing body, like the IETF or the World Wide Web Consortium or something like that. I forget which organization it is. They're working on an encrypted direct messaging protocol. I forget the name. It's some generic name. When that is done, the Blue Sky developers have indicated that they want to adopt it. And Signal, also the company or the nonprofit that makes the Signal encrypted messaging app, have indicated they want to adopt it as well. If that's done, then in theory, you could send direct messages, private messages, encrypted end-to-end from your Blue Sky account to someone on Signal and anyone else that's also adopting this encrypted direct messaging protocol. It's separate from AT protocol. AT protocol is public. It's meant for the masses, it's meant for the world. But this other, I forget the name of it, this other direct messaging protocol, when it is finished and adopted by Blue Sky, Signal, and maybe a couple of others, you could, in theory, do direct encrypted messages, very similar to Signal now, between different platforms and different services.
Are there any individual server capacity limits?
Yes.
That make any sense?
Yeah. So, and this touches into one reason why a lot of people choose to self-host their PDS, and why there will be services that pop up that are not Blue Sky or not run by the Blue Sky company, Blue Sky PB LLC. Is because Blue Sky, in order to save on data costs and processing stuff, they do have a limit for videos that are uploaded to their to the PDSs that are hosted with them. And that's for 3 minutes at like a medium quality resolution. So even if you're using a YouTube-like app or a TikTok or something else that uses video, if you're right now, as of now, if your user is hosted with Blue Sky, they'll be limited to 3 minutes. It's like a hard cap that Blue Sky is setting. And that's just because the Blue Sky platform itself doesn't allow for longer than 3 minutes and, you know, higher than medium quality video. So they don't want to be taking on the cost of hosting hundreds of hours of stuff that would otherwise go to YouTube. I mean, checking out YouTube, there's a lot of crap that's being uploaded to YouTube now, which just should be deleted.
At 30 minutes, that would be an individual per video limit, not an aggregate limit. I
Correct.
assume there's an aggregate limit.
No, there aren't any aggregate limits, I don't think. So you could do a series of 3-minute clips if you really wanted to. In fact, oh gosh, a few months ago, maybe a year ago, there was somebody who uploaded the Bee Movie, like the animated DreamWorks movie, in 3-minute clips, and just had it in a thread, and so you could go through every 3 minutes and watch the Bee Movie. And I think that's become a running joke on Blue Sky.
Think about other social media, right? You pay for it with your data, right? You're giving up your data prices. What is the financial model incentive related to Blue Sky?
So Blue Sky started off with some seed funding from Twitter, and they've taken in a round of investment funding to pay for the next couple of years of development. Long-term sustainability, what Blue Sky, the company, wants to do is subscription services. So they want to be able to sell a monthly subscription for maybe like $8 a month or something. And in exchange for that, you would get longer video limits, higher quality images and video uploads, yep, and stuff like that. So that's where they plan on being able to become financially sustainable and make a little bit of money. One nice thing about them being a PB LLC, public benefit LLC, which it's not available in all states. I don't know if Virginia allows that sort of thing, but California apparently does. Is it is a form of incorporation, business incorporation, where you actually get legal protections on not necessarily delivering or maximizing profit for shareholders or for investors. So with your standards, C corporation or S corp, you are legally obligated to make decisions to maximize profits for your shareholders. And if you don't, they can sue you. PB LLC says you have some more leeway there to not necessarily have to maximize profits. You can spend your money or make decisions that bring in a little bit less money as long as you're still operating as a business. You can have this sort of public mission as well.
And I think OpenAI may be a public. Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's a big, that's the big battle coming up. Yes.
Clearly.
Yeah.
We are at 8:30.
Yeah.
Do we have a final question?
It's too bad I had a QR code for you to use to sign up to Blue Sky with the Arlington Starter Pack. It's not going to be showing up on the screen or for people attending virtually, but I will have this up for anyone that wants to scan it and join Blue Sky with the Arlington Starter Pack. That should also have the Arlington feed by default in your Blue Sky.
We'll send around we'll post the slide deck.
Sounds good. Let me know how this experience works out for you. I've been on Blue Sky for a couple of years. In fact, I think 37 million people registered users. I was user number 136,000.
Right.
So,
Jackie, final question?
Really, I just want to make sure that you're going to send around the slide deck and whatever it was that you were just showing people on the screen there, And to admit, I probably will have lots of questions as I try to dig into this. Being, even though I've been a new adopter for lots of technology, I have to admit this one is pretty overwhelming.
Oh, we lost your sound, Jackie.
You just muted or went out.
I know. Public benefit corporations are legal.
Can you hear me again?
Yes.
Yeah, my camera and microphone is on the blink, I think. This is something where another potential role for the commission is to think about what kind of public education there might need to be, so that if there are vulnerabilities for users or things you should know, like you said, J.D. Vance, was not technically savvy, so he didn't do it the right way, or a way that he might have wanted to if he'd known about it. I'm assuming there's going to be some kind of training available. There probably is on YouTube already, but this is the kind of thing where we could at least let Arlington's public know that this is happening and it's something they might want to know more about.
On that note, I can say that pretty soon, in the next couple of weeks, or a few weeks, I'll be starting a nonprofit organization, 501c3, which in part will be starting to really promote Blue Sky and build Blue Sky for the local community, local Arlington community. So I will send along details and announcement of that to ITAC, and would love some ideas and help with that. But the idea is for it to be an organization that goes out, does this sort of thing, mostly myself at this point, but we'll make it work.
All right. Theo, thank you very much for the in-depth dive on Blue Sky and the AT protocol. Jackie, I think, the reason why I wanted to bring this conversation is because it is an emerging technology, and I do think we want to help make people aware of it and why it's different, and specifically what you're saying about it's not just the same old thing, right? It is, you have to pick your feeds, you have to pick your own moderation service. You get to, but then you also have to, right? So there's that piece to it.
Yeah, it just seems pretty complicated from a normal user's point of view.
Yeah, the user experience is pretty seamless when you go into it. I wanted to focus on the more interesting potential of what the change it might be bringing, which requires that more technical kind of deep dive. So again, thank you, Theo, for walking us through it.
Real quick, I have these slides as a PDF ready to go. If I can send them on to someone.
Yep, send them, Tracy. Thank you very much. Frank, or we haven't, no. I lost one. Are we to DTS update? Or are we?
All right, you have me first before DT.
All right, Frank, legislative
All right.
update.
Let's see, August coming up. The FCC is going to consider notice of proposed rulemaking to re-examine emergency alert system and wireless emergency alerts. Emergency alert system is those alerts that you get on broadcast radio, TV, satellite, cable, and wireless is what you get on your cell phone. That annoying beep. Anyway, so they're going to explore from the ground up and explore fundamental changes to these systems. I'm wondering what prompted that. Anyway, FCC Chair Carr outlined his Build America agenda, which will focus on unleashing high-speed broadband infrastructure builds, restoring U.S. leadership in wireless, and strengthening America's tower and telecom workforce. He's been a big supporter of tower infrastructure builds, climb towers. Anyway, the FCC's delete deregulation initiative removed net neutrality regulations adopted under the prior FCC, the Biden administration, that never went into effect because they're struck down by the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals in early 2025. So they're just being taken out of the CFR, the Code of Federal Regulation. The FCC's Spectrum Auction Authority, which expired in 2023, has been restored through 2034 as part of the One Big Beautiful Bill. And the bill also earmarks a large swath of spectrum for the auction. So FCC is back in the auction business. JD Power reports that U.S. customers are paying higher prices for cable or satellite television bundles and wired internet, whether bundled or not, but fixed wireless internet customers are paying a little less than a few months ago. So there's heady competition. AT&T decided to pull its fixed wireless internet service from New York after that state's Affordable Broadband Act went into effect, requiring broadband providers to do a low-income service at $15 a month. Starlink is offering it, although they are looking for a waiver because they're not required to provide I think the modem and router is, I think, 300 something new, and they can get 100 something used or refurbished. But that Starlink service, 25 megabit per second download speeds. And the Supreme Court has upheld the USF Universal Service Fund funding mechanism, which has been used to subsidize low-income phone service, rural broadband, school library, the e-rate service, and telecommunications connectivity, overturning a lower court ruling that had found the USF contribution mechanism to be unconstitutional.
All right, thank you, Frank. And I apologize, I missed something in my chair's update. We have a new member.
Yes.
Chris, welcome. Introduce yourself to everybody.
Hey, yeah, thanks so much. Chris DeMiro, lived in Arlington about 5 years now, live in Colonial Village now. Spent most of my career working in the executive branch, legislative branch on emerging technology and national security. And I work in the private sector at a quantum computing company. So excited to contribute to the great work you guys do.
Thank you for your service.
Should we all introduce ourselves?
I think maybe we should do that offline.
Okay.
Given the time tonight.
Sure.
DTS update.
Two quick things.
Wait, I have a question for Frank.
Yeah, go ahead, Jack.
Yes.
Yes, Frank, is there a link for more information about the item you mentioned for planned update or revision of emergency alerts?
I had just taken that from a news report. I'll see if I can find the actual. Well, the actual item should be on the FCC's website. If you want to check, but I can go look for it.
Yeah, just if it's something that you can easily identify, that would be helpful. I do know that, and this might be related, I do know there was an in-house consulting team at GSA that was doing updates on that system. And that is one of the groups that was fired, all 200 of them. So that certainly did signal that there was something going on there. But there continues to be a lot of research on that, and they were definitely moving towards they already adopted greater bandwidth, but it was also to be able to have potential interaction on locations.
Right.
So
the
there was
the FCC has had a number of items basically requiring more detailed or more granular locations on that. So
yeah. So I just want to see, what I mean, this is a little bit alarming that if it's going to be completely redone, what does that mean? It could be great. It could be great news, but
yes, and actually the NPR stations and PBS stations have been a big part of that up until now.
All right.
All right, thank you.
DTS update.
One thing just to share, we are trying to coordinate having APS come and talk about AI. We're targeting them for October. They are going to be having a parent session. They don't have the date of it yet. They're looking to try to do it in September, and so I'm planting the seed, but I'll need to send it in an email. Raj asked that I share with you all to try to kind of generate interest in this. So I will send, as soon as I get a date from him, I will send it out, but since we don't have a session, it's gonna have to come in email. Then there's one more little thing, so just to highlight some of the work that we've been doing on our public website. There is a document search so that you can search through a large number of documents. We've recently added zoning determinations there. But I think it highlights two things. One is that the information is in our data hub. And so we have access to 140,000 different documents that you can search, and we're continuing to add to it. And our next evolution, we're looking to make it more of a chat experience. So using machine learning, without doing any of the indexing, we're able to find the number of different times. I did not find my housing card, but I don't know if that's really a true story or not. I did look for it there. So this is something to go check out. So if you look for document search within.
Great. Thank you very much.
I have a follow-up question on that also. Does that now include, last time I asked when you were going to be including planning and zoning data? And so now I'm asking, is it included or is it scheduled in your work plan?
So it's got some the zoning the determinations is in there. You should be able to use that.
So I can find a site plan and stuff like that.
I think probably some of that more detail is only still in the permit application.
All right, thank you.
All right. Anything for the good of the order?
Just that I'm going to start sending out new invites for our meetings for the coming year. So look for those in your inbox.
All right. Fantastic. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Bye.
Opposed?
See you guys.
Thank you very much. We are adjourned. See you in September.
Thank you for having me.
That was great.
Yeah, very.
I did worry if I went